Iran's missiles don't just hit Israel, they hit whoever is standing underneath them. 3 Palestinian women, a mother, a daughter, a 17-year-old, killed in the West Bank by Iranian cluster bombs. 6 dead in 24 hours, 14 since the war began. Iran is avenging its dead and creating more of everyone else's. Iranian ballistic missiles carrying cluster bombs struck both Israel and the West Bank, killing 3 Palestinian women near Hebron and a foreign worker in central Israel. The foreign worker, a 30-year-old man, sustained critical shrapnel injuries in Moshav Adanim and was declared dead shortly after. In the West Bank village of Beit Awa, an apparent cluster munition struck roughly an hour earlier, killing Sahira, Amal, and Maiz Masalma, aged 50, 36, and 17. 13 others were wounded. The 3 women were the first Palestinian casualties of the current war. Earlier that same day, a couple in their 70s, Yaron and Ilana Moshe, were killed in Ramat Gan after shrapnel from intercepted Iranian missiles struck their apartment. 5 others were lightly wounded.
We're standing in an apartment in central Israel where 2 70-year-old elders were killed by 1 rocket out of a cluster bomb. This cluster bomb was fired by the Iranian regime towards a center of mass population, firing dozens of rockets towards the civilians, targeting purposely the civilians. This is a war crime by the Iranian regime, both targeting the civilians, both using this indiscriminate type of firing towards civilians.
In all, 6 people were killed by Iranian strikes within 24 hours. According to the IDF, about half of all Iranian ballistic missiles fired at Israel in this war have carried cluster warheads. Each missile can scatter between 20 and 80 bomblets across a wide area, making them exceptionally hard to intercept even when the missile itself is shot down. Israeli military spokesman Lieutenant Colonel Nadav Shoshani, speaking at the Ramat Gan strike site, described the scale of the problem.
You can see the entry point of the rocket that flew all the way from Iran in a huge missile and broke into dozens of pieces. We had dozens of impact points like this in central Israel. Each carried 20 to 80 munitions, which were very difficult to stop.
The destruction is not limited to residential areas. 3 private aircraft parked at Ben Gurion Airport suffered severe damage after being struck by debris from intercepted Iranian missiles. Commercial flights have been suspended at the airport since the war began on February 28th, with only repatriation and military operations continuing. On the ground in Ramat Gan, the path of the cluster bomb was still visible through the rubble of the elderly couple's top-floor apartment. A neighbor, Sigal Amir, described sheltering next door as the explosion tore through.
There was a massive boom and I felt a pain in my ear from the blast. The neighbors live 5 meters from us, their door was blown off and their house was full of dust like snow.
14 people have now been killed directly by Iranian strikes inside Israel since the war began. Iran has acknowledged firing cluster munitions, saying the attacks are in retaliation for Israeli strikes that killed senior Iranian officials, including intelligence chief Ali Larijani, earlier this week. Tensions across the Middle East are escalating rapidly, with Iran's leadership issuing strong warnings after the reported killing of senior official Ali Larijani, while military exchanges continue across multiple fronts. Iran's new supreme leader has delivered one of the strongest responses yet, vowing that those responsible for Larijani's killing would face consequences. The statement reflects the growing anger in Tehran as the conflict with Israel and the United States intensifies.
The assassination of such a figure undoubtedly shows the extent of his importance and the hatred of the enemies of Islam towards him. The anti-Islamists should know that shedding this blood at the foot of the tree of the Islamic system only makes it stronger, and of course all blood has its price that the criminal murderers of the martyrs must pay soon.
The rhetoric was echoed by Iran's parliament speaker, who suggested that retaliation would follow a principle of direct retribution, signaling that Tehran may be preparing a calibrated but forceful response.
An eye for an eye equation is in effect, and a new level of confrontation has begun.
In the Gulf, Saudi Arabia reported intercepting 4 ballistic missiles and 2 drones, highlighting how regional states are increasingly being drawn into the conflict. Qatar's Ministry of Interior is reporting a fire in the Ras Laffan area, home to the world's largest LNG production facility, following an Iranian targeting. The incident in Riyadh came after a spokesperson for IRGC's Qatar Al-Anbiya headquarters promised that the fuel, energy and gas infrastructures of those who attacked Iran's energy and oil facilities will be burned and turned to ashes at the earliest opportunity.
This is a firm and clear warning to the criminals who attacked part of Iran's fuel and energy infrastructures in the south of the country. We declare to the cowardly and aggressive army of the criminal America and the barbaric and child-killing Zionist regime that you will have to throw your soldiers into the water and throw your dignity into the wind.
Amid this escalation, coordination between the United States and Israel has reached unprecedented levels. According to US senior official, US President Donald Trump and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu have been in near-daily contact since the war began, with Trump reportedly saying the two leaders are working great together. Senior officials on both sides acknowledge that, for now, Washington and Tel Aviv are closely aligned, particularly as the conflict enters a more dangerous phase, involving threats to global energy routes such as the Strait of Hormuz. However, beneath this alignment, differences in long-term strategy are beginning to emerge. American and Israeli officials have indicated that their ultimate goals and tolerance for risk may diverge as the war drags on. Several senior US officials have described Trump as the most enthusiastic figure within the White House when it comes to confronting Iran, noting that he appears more aligned with Netanyahu's maximalist objectives than some of his own advisors. At the same time, 3 of Trump's advisors believe he may ultimately seek to end the war sooner than Netanyahu, suggesting a potential fault line that could shape the trajectory of the conflict. For now, though, the two leaders appear closer than ever. The crisis in the Strait of Hormuz, through which a significant share of the world's oil supply flows, has made it difficult for the United States to step back, even if it wished to.